It's a hit against public education, and this is what we do. We are public school teachers.
Arizona's last 6 Teachers of the Year accused Governor Doug Ducey of betraying them by expanding vouchers for private and religious schools. That was pretty controversial, probably the most controversial education bill of the session, the vouchers. Did you support that?
I support parental choice. I believe to the depth of my being that God gives children to parents, not to government bureaucracies, no matter how well intended they are. So parents must make the educational choices for our children. Our ESA program was originally created with some very specific goals in mind. Careful expansion might give parents some of the service they need. My big concern right now is that's public money, and my office is tasked with the oversight of that money, and we have to make sure that the taxpayers get what they should for that money.
So should teachers feel betrayed? They supported the governor on Prop 123, and they feel like this is public money being diverted. It is being diverted to private schools, and much more of it being.
Well, we have to support our public education system. I mean, that goes back to the very founding of our nation, and that's what makes our country so very different than many others, how we choose to educate our children. And clearly, with my plan for Prop 301, I want to make sure that our teachers do feel supported.
So would you have voted yes or no on the expansion?
I don't know what I would have voted if I were in the legislature.
You don't know?
I'm the superintendent, so I'm going to.
You can't say yes or no.
No, I'm not going to say yes or no one way or the other.
Let's talk about the administration, because when I covered this 4 years ago, your department, you weren't there yet, was keeping track of the spending with a pen and paper. And I imagine you inherited some of that. So, and there have been questions now whether your department is up to that task. Some of the information wasn't in neat columns, and there were questions about how it was being tracked. So is your department, can you say, yes, we are on top of that, and we will be able to tell you how much each family is receiving and spending it?
We can do that. Through the history of this program, we've not been given the spending authority for the money that is in the program. It's 4% to the Department of Ed, and we've been still to this day are given less than 2%. We can, with less than the 4%, but with the growth of the program, the allocation of money must stay in pace with the growth of the program. We absolutely can. We've computerized it. The application systems are online. We have a great team that's working very hard.
So, because there were questions about whether a parent wrote down Brophy, Brophy Prep, Brophy Preparatory Academy. The department couldn't keep track of that money all in one place.
Well, it's not up to us to second guess what the parents, I mean, Brophy is a very
not to single out Brophy, just as an example.
No, not to single them out, but they are a very unique example that people might say, well, duh, why don't you group them together? Well, suppose there's and I'm making this up, Bram, but Brophy 2.0. It's not up to us to decide that those are necessarily one and the same. In our public funding system, every school has an identifier, a unique individual identifier. In the private sector, they do not.
So this sounds like a problem. Like,
it sounds,
you can't really track it. If
we can track the dollars that are spent and the dollars that are, we can put them out there, but there's certain assumptions that I'm going to be careful about how our staff makes them. So we look at the rules, we're putting a handbook in place, and we're making sure we oversee that program.
This is the big question. How much is it going to cost Arizona? And what I'm hearing is
it's already part of the law. It's just a matter of they do not give us the spending authority for that money.
Huh. I'm not sure that's going to reassure many viewers out there about the spending. I want to get to...
I assure you, when it comes to public funds, we will oversee them as the taxpayers mandate.
All right. Next year is an election year. You are planning to run for re-election. You are facing a primary from 2 conservatives, Frank Riggs, former congressman, and Tracy Livingston, member of the Maricopa Community College Board. Both say you have not lived up to your pledge to do away with Common Core.
That is such a disingenuous statement to make about over hundreds of teachers who worked on revising our standards. We have a release from the federal copyright. We have a state board that rescinded their decision, and we have new revised standards that have been adopted by that board. Hundreds of teachers worked thousands of hours, and over 10,000 public comments came in on revising those standards. Arizonans were heard, and those standards have been changed. And you know what, Bram? I don't ask anybody to take my word for it. It's all up on our website. Our parents can go there. They can look at what the standard was. Here's what the public comments were. Here's what the technical reviewer comments were. Here's what the working group did. Here's why they did it. And every single one is tracked, change by change.
You are a sitting superintendent. It is unusual to be primaried, yet when here we have two people primarying you. Why do you think that's happening?
Because this is America. This is a great republic, and we hold elections for our representation. And I would think we are changing our philosophy as a nation if we didn't have people jump into an election. I hope all are robust. I stand on my record. I made certain commitments to the voters of Arizona. I have kept to those commitments. I'm so proud to serve the people in Arizona, and there's nothing more important we do than educate our children. So I have the best job in the state.
All right, Diane Douglas, thanks very much.
Thank you
Good luck
for your
in your
time.
campaign. When we come back, it passed the House, the Senate is next. But what would Trump care mean for Arizonans? We find out. Stay with us.